we could have a central place for people to link. So that's kind of our brainstorming, investigating, exploring that idea, but we didn't want to go too far down that track without just having an introductory conversation with the three commissioners just to see what you thought, if that made any sense. Maybe you already have some great plans for that page and don't need any assistance, or wouldn't feel that would be helpful.
I for one would think it'd be very helpful. I think you need to talk with the Economic Council too, which you probably have. I guess my question would be, have you looked at obstacles that why businesses don't come here because of some reason? I know you're looking at the benefits, but what about those things that maybe the planning board has put certain stipulations on zoning which would be interfering with business expansion or whatever? What if you take a look at that also?
We have not done that at this point. One of the things that we've been, which we've been looking at, and it doesn't take much thinking, and it's probably pretty obvious, is that a lot of the organizations that serve Carroll County in an economic way only serve a small portion of the county. So that we would like to start having some gatherings, whether it's once a year, a couple times a year, to bring these groups together, because we are not necessarily the experts on this, but we are a group that can do some facilitating and bring people together to dig into those kind of questions that you've raised, and hoping that with just some more communication, that there could be some more collaboration about how we approach things.
I think anything we can do in economic development for Carroll County would be a positive move, a step in the right direction, I guess I'd say. I think we can use all of the help and publicity that we can gather, that we'd share with on websites or wherever, that would encourage other businesses to move into this area.
Yeah, because the technical things in terms of, through the two economic councils, of course we have the Mount Washington Valley Economic Council and we have WEDCO, so you have the technical resources are there and people can find that, but right now, answering the question of why would I even want to be here in the first place? Why would this be such a great place for me to establish my business? That kind of information is very difficult to find, and we just anybody here can probably answer the question of why you even live here or why you work here. It's a wonderful place, and it's a thing to celebrate, and I think to raise up with some more awareness.
Yeah. And I think you probably ought to talk with the community colleges as well, because they have people that can teach or reteach residents for a particular business. The meeting that I went to in Santa Fe that was really strong out west, community colleges help the small businesses. That's another group. I'm talking now, I don't let the other two commissioners say what they think about the process, I guess.
No, I think this is good information. I will read through it again.
Well, since I sit on that committee.
Well, you do.
Yes. I certainly believe fully in what they're doing. And I thought that one of the things that you were interested in is actually getting the Carroll County United a place on the website. Is that not what you wanted?
Well, I mean, in terms of having a link to Carroll County United on the website, well, that would be great. In terms of this kind of information here, if I was a business, I wouldn't go, oh, I'm going to look on Carroll County United to find business-related information. So, we can help generate that information, but it's not a logical place from our perspective.
Where would you think it would be then? How would businesses find out about Carroll County?
Yeah, well, what we were thinking is that if there was one central place, such as the county site, doesn't have to be, but that would be one. is to then connect with the towns and all of the economic commissions, the chambers, and have them link. So it could save a lot of time and energy across all of those organizations, but have, multiple access points. So if I'm visiting Conway, I might go on the Conway town site, or I might go on the chamber site. Oh, a business link there, click on it, and the information will be there.
Yeah. I think that's where I would go, would be the Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
Not knowing whether there's an economic council or not, but that would be another avenue that I'd go to if I was starting up a business. I probably wouldn't think of the county website, but Chamber of Commerce definitely would be a place I'd go.
Yeah, so our hope is to, have that conversation with the towns. Some towns have economic commissions, or they might have an economic person, but some of our towns, of course, are very small. And so to think about all of those towns having to create this information individually, if I'm in Eaton or if I'm in Effingham, wouldn't it be great if this information was in one place? I could put a link on my website and be in the game with everybody else in the county to promote that kind of information.
I would attempt to say that if you wanted to hold a meeting, our facilities here would be available for you to do that. If you wanted to bring people in and talk about doing what you're saying, I would have no problems with you using our facilities.
Well, thank you.
Whether it's at the
for-
nursing home or here or whatever. Okay?
At least at the nursing home, you can get something to eat.
And people could see it if they haven't been here yet.
That's true.
Yeah.
And just one suggestion on an advantage. When we Googled Carroll County, New Hampshire, your site doesn't come up. So that's a link that should probably, or could be fixed, because people can't find your site just Googling Carroll County, New Hampshire. I think you can Bing it, right? But a lot of people use Google, and so that would be a good
So whatever the site designer is doing for it to be visible, if you Google Carroll County, New Hampshire, the site doesn't actually come up.
It doesn't come up in the list, and so you don't get to it that way.
Okay. Go ahead, Jen.
May I ask, do you have a website?
Yes, we do.
Could you give us the
Our
domain?
website is carrollcountyunited.org.
.org?
Yep, and I can pass a card around if you want. It's got the website on there.
Go ahead. You had a question?
Just a quick business development question. Does the county offer any kind of tax incentives to businesses interested in moving here or establishing operations here?
No.
Is that a decision
Is that
by the
something we would
commission
get
or the
into?
delegate, or delegates?
I think the delegation would have to do that. I don't think we would have that authority.
We don't have that.
We have no power of taxation, so I think we'd have to go to the delegation.
Okay.
And there's actually a lot of controversy about whether those sorts of things work.
Not worth it, yeah.
And we, as part of our research, we've been meeting with some folks up in H.O.C County, and individually some of the towns have done some tax forgiveness for distressed buildings, and that they've found when there's a serious investor, offering that sort of thing has been helpful for them to move forward with some of their distressed buildings, but they're not just doing like a carte blanche tax relief for any, business at all. It's been real specific sort of things.
Serious one.
Yeah.
You mentioned that none of the towns did it. I didn't know if the county did it on their own at all. Okay.
Anybody else who would like to make a comment regarding what these ladies have talked about? I think it would be a positive move to do that.
What was the name of that committee again?
The Balancing Economic Development and Environmental Stewardship.
I thought you said bouncing.
And we led our committee led the wood biomass tour last November for municipal officials and school board members. We had 30 in attendance, so
That's
that
what
was
you went
one
to, huh?
effort that we're very proud of, because we got a lot of interest, and wood chip and wood pellet conversions.
Yeah.
And the next tour is going to be here.
Yeah.
Yes, as our next door will be here.
Yes, Ed?
Two questions for United Way. Is there a sustainable development component to United Way? Do you know?
I'm not sure I quite understand your question.
Are you sustainable?
Sustainable development.
Sustainable development, does that ever show up in anything that comes across United Way?
In terms of like economic development?
Economic and
Yes.
environmental stewardship.
Yeah. Well, for us, our component here in Carroll County, we had done a number of forums around the county when the Carroll County United effort got started. And all of our teams were started because of community input. So it was community input that suggested that that team happened, so that, of course, a lot of our economy in Carroll County is based on our natural environment. So that idea of paying attention to both of those things, the environment and economic development, came from the community.
So where did you coin that phrase, environmental stewardship?
Came from the teams?
Yeah, it came from the teams, yeah.
My second final question is, do you work with the 9 regional planning commissions throughout New Hampshire and the Environmental Development Association?
We are doing some informal work with the 2 here, and Lakes Region United Way also works with the Lakes Region Planning Commission, serve on some committees of theirs, and they serve on some committees of ours. But we're Lakes Regions, we're not working with the entire state.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm just reading your second page here. Per capita income at 2010, we're 10th in the nation and 3rd in New England, right?
State.
College
that's the state.
educated population, 205 to 210. We're 9th national and 4th in New England. Okay, have you got anything else that you'd like to mention or talk about or ask?
I don't think so. I mean, just general awareness. We also have a team that's working on kindergarten readiness, so that's an issue we're working on, as well as some health and wellness. And I know that doesn't come up quite so much at county level, but just for general awareness, we are doing that
Regarding
as well.
health and awareness, wellness, we're going to be putting in a nature trail
Oh, great.
when we get things settled down, so we know what we're doing. And hopefully that will add to the wellness of county employees. Our health insurance premiums go up because we're not the healthiest population. And if we can reduce that, that would be a benefit to us, to the taxpayers of
Yeah,
Carroll County.
and that will be open to the general public as
Yeah,
well. Yeah,
yep,
because
yep.
that team is putting together a website with just a vast array of resources for people staying healthy, from local farms to trails to,
Yeah.
alternative practitioners and whatnot, so we could add that.
Yeah, I know a committee is looking at, or looked at the Memorial Hospital,
Yep.
what they have up there. They've also been over to Effingham School to look at what they have. And any other places that you might mention or anybody else might mention, we'd be glad to have them look at it so that we do the best we can with whatever money we have. I think we've got $4,000 that I'm aware of to go towards it, 2 from our insurance company and 2 from the 501c3. What do you call that? What's that?
Friends of Mountain.
Friends of Mountain View? Yeah.
You mentioned something about farms. You are aware we have a farm here on campus.
Yes, and
And that we have a farm day coming up
Yeah.
on the 28th of July.
well, I did want to know that day, because we would like to come.
It's 28th, Saturday, the 28th of July, from 9 to the afternoon. I forget what time.
We had over 500 people here last year.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. please, if you have other projects or programs that you're involved in, you think the county ought to be involved in, call us and we'll put you on the agenda.
Sounds great.
So, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming. Yes, go ahead, Jay.
I chair the Carroll County Regional Coordinating Council for transportation.
Okay, yep, yep. Yeah, familiar with them, yep. Okay, sounds great.
Sandy stepped out, so Bob, you wanna?
Sure.
Good morning.
Good morning. The water staying warm at the nursing home?
Yes, it is. We're heating with pellets, proud to say. The top copy there is the original contract, and I have 3 copies for each of you to have. So today I present you the contract for 400 tons of wood pellets from SANDI Corporation in Greenfield, Massachusetts. Ready for your signature. I have negotiated the contract based on the RFP, the questions that were presented at the Commissioners meeting a couple of weeks ago, and a concern or two that I had on my own. So I feel that this contract is ready for county signature.
And you found that there are other companies that would back this company up should something happen?
This company has 3 sites of manufacture, so if one goes down, they have 2 others to pull from.
This company, SANDI, they had, on the paperwork that you gave me last week, they had 3 references. I called them, but nobody called me back.
I've known SANDI to be around for a long time. In my former life, before I came to the county, I had done business with SANDI, although this is probably, I'm talking 25 years ago. I had personally done business with SANDI, and in a different capacity. It was in an heating oil-based capacity, but they were a good company to work for back then. I can't say what they are now, but I certainly think they're reputable, and they're large.
So this contract is good through May 31st,
Yeah, it's basically
2013,
basically a one-year contract.
maybe amended at any time by mutual consent? What do they mean by shipments ordered by buyer that do not fit in buyer's bin will be subject to an additional charge of $75?
They're going to ship us, they use a 30-ton tractor trailer. Contains 30 tons of pellets.
And our storage is
35.
Yeah.
So it's going to be up to me to make sure that there's room to fit all the 30 tons of pellets, because if they can't offload all 30 tons of pellets, they have to reweigh their truck on the way back to the plant. And basically that $75 charge is for a reweigh, because that's the only way that they can determine the underage. We won't be charged for the underage of pellets, but they need to cover their own expenses.
You have any idea, because it depends on the weather, how many tons are used, or what portion of a ton is used during a day?
Right now, not very much, but even in the dead of winter, I can't. We could use as much as 2 to 2.5 tons a day when it's 20 below and the wind's howling.
With both boilers running?
Both boilers running, heating both buildings.
How will you know how much is left?
There are sight gauges on the side of the silo, There's no science behind them whatsoever. They, they're basically arms that flap in the silo based on the level, and they're in 3 stages. So as they descend, I can tell where the pellets are, more or less. I also have the option of climbing a ladder on the side of the silo and dropping a string down and seeing where it hits, and then doing some calculations and finding out. So
In 20-degree weather.
You've been trained on the boilers, right?
I have been trained on the boilers. There's more training to come. I mean, I can't say I'm 100% trained,
Yeah.
but I can operate them now, which I have been.
You would have no problems in startup?
Nope.
Okay.
No problem starting whatsoever, no
I
problems
mean, if you
cleaning.
run out of pellets, for example?
Yeah, that's not a
It wouldn't be a
problem.
problem.
Nope.
Oh, that's right.
I have a question. Is this all? Because I could read here it said, this agreement and terms and conditions contained include privileged and proprietary information and shall remain strictly confidential. Is it the whole agreement?
Well,
Agreement, terms and conditions.
I think
Is this all?
I think the intent of that statement is so that we don't go shopping around and say, here's the contract, meet it or beat it. I think that's what the intent of that
Okay,
is.
but you have, this is all we have.
Yes, those 2 pages plus the email
This is
attachment.
just an email.
Which, yeah, but that's part of the contract. Those are the questions that were brought up by Representative Batson a few weeks ago, and others.
And the cancellation of this contract?
There is no penalty for cancellation.
And how do we go about canceling it? Of net 30 days?
As payment terms.
Based on delivery.
Because there are no overage or underage fees, there's no penalty for cancellation.
Anybody else got any questions? Are we ready for a motion to accept the contract?
Yeah, I'm not ready for it.
You're not ready?
No. You can make the motion.
How, we have 10 ton in there now, right? Well,
Slightly
minus
less, right,
what's being used by the small boiler.
right. We've been burning for a week.
You want more time to?
Using pellets now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been heating the building for a week.
For a week now?
Mhm. They fired it up last Wednesday.
Yeah.
Then how many pellets do you have? How long do you go with the pellets, what you have now?
Well, they
Not a
put in
week?
10 tons to start.
Okay.
And, there's 2 boilers, a large one and a small one, and we've been using the small one. So we really haven't been going through a lot of pellets. It's hard to estimate at this point how many, but the sight gauge has not moved yet on the side of the silo.
That could be good or it could be bad.
Right.
We don't know if it's working.
Well, it's working because I saw it flip when they filled
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Just a question. The changeover from pellets back to propane,
Mhm.
in the eventuality of a low level, is that automatic?
It's all automated,
It is.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's temperature sensors,
Mhm.
so if the system notices the temperature starting to drop, the pellet boilers will come back online. Propane boilers will come back
Propane.
online, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kenny, how much time do you want to have to review this?
I also called in for the references and no one calls back, so I'm trying to call them again today and
If
see.
no one ever calls back, you don't?
I'll try to call them again then, and maybe ask them for different references.
Did you check any of the references?
I did not personally know.
Okay.
Do we have any need to do this immediately?
Before we run out of pellets, but I think we've got time.
Next week?
Yeah.
Okay, next week?
I think that'd be all
Good enough
right.
for you?
Yep.
Worst
Okay.
thing that'll happen is we run out of pellets and I go back to propane.
Yeah.
which isn't
It's not the end of the world.
saving us.
Right.
I think
Any
the weather
money?
is getting a little better
Mhm.
next week.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll do it next week.
Okay.
How's everything else going?
Very well, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Just to make it clear, the pellets are not heating the building, it's heating the water.
Well, it's hot water that heats the building.
Understanding, but not now.
Well, yeah, it still
It
is.
could be.
Yeah, right now it is. Oh, sure.
My furnace is on.
Really?
Oh, yeah, we've had some chilly nights.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think at night when it's dropped on the temperature.
Okay, we'll wait till next week to do
That's
this.
fine.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Bob. You're doing a good job.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Good morning.
Any, before, I'm sorry, are there anybody else being trained on this other than you?
Me at the moment, when I'm 100% comfortable,
Should you leave or something happen to you, we want to make sure somebody else is trained, right?
when I'm fully comfortable, which won't be long,
Okay.
I will pass on what I have to a couple of my guys. They'll be able to clean it, they'll be able to start it, they'll be able to run the basics.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry, go ahead, Sandy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The census today is 103. We have 19 private, 7 skilled, 69 Medicaid, and 8 pending. Our Medicaid rate effective July 1st, 2012, it was $156.47. It is now, it will be $156.15, which is a decrease of 32 cents.
Can I go just to the pending?
Sure.
How long have they been pending?
It's varied, and we are not of all.
Medicaid.
I guess.
It's been a lot of discussion having to do with the Department of Health and Human Services, having to do with the amount of time someone actually applies for Medicaid and how long it takes. From our standpoint, it doesn't take very long. We are not in the areas that seem to have a very long time for it to turn over. Yet, they are trying to, the offices are trying to make everything consistent. The problem is the application has to be complete before it moves on to acceptance. And so, what's happening is from the district offices, they're trying to establish a brochure that everyone from hospital to nursing home, even to the public, that is distributed so that everyone is prepared for the information that has to be submitted prior with the application. Because until that application is complete, they can't be considered as part. We had the Moulton Borough Academy Band come yesterday and play to the residents. They enjoyed that thoroughly, and they did a wonderful job. Tomorrow.
Do they charge, or is there a donation, or?
No,
they
they
just-
came,
Okay.
Moulton Borough Academy came. They must have been there for about a half an hour. I would say that there were probably 16 students, and they did a marvelous, marvelous job, and the
Mhm.
residents enjoyed it.
Good.
As far as the LNA Day event at the State House, that's occurring tomorrow. Brenda Libby, a longtime employee, was our nominee for the New Hampshire Association of Counties Award LNA a year, and then we'll see what happens, but it's our representative. This year there was a tie between Brenda Libby, who's an LNA, and Pam Burbank. The tie was broken by putting a name, or pulling a name from our container. Nominations were made in April by everyone's peers, so it's LNA's.
But wasn't Brenda Libby received an award within the past few years?
She is one of the 2 LNAs that are sitting on the Board of Nursing as a representative from the LNA group. So
Okay.
that in itself, and that is a appointed position, and she's very fortunate.
Appointed by,
The council, the governor's council.
okay.
Uh-huh.
One from each county, or is she representing all the LNA?
No, there's one other LNA, 2 LNAs in the state that sit on that board.
Oh.
And this is, I believe, is her second term.
Okay.
It was renewed last year. Guidelines for the nomination had to do with outstanding performance on a continuous basis, mentoring and leadership skills, being held in high regard by residents, families, peers, and management. One who has done something extraordinary for a resident and one who exemplifies high standards held by the facility. We'd also like to acknowledge